Okay, so for this first section, I have a few ideas I want to share with you guys all about scribbling. Scribbling is something that as you're doing it, it's just going to release you. You're not going to be focused on making something perfect. It's going to get rid of expectations. You're going to just kind of help you to relax and have fun. And as I go through these, that's the whole purpose of all of these is to help you kind of get back in touch with that creativity and learn to really just have fun and not worry about the outcome. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. And so I'm going to go ahead and share these. These are all different techniques to kind of get you open and get you started. So the first one is just open scribbling, just having fun and not worrying about anything, just kind of letting it go. And as you're scribbling, you might start seeing different shapes appear or different things for characters. Like personally right here I see, I don't really know what this is, but it is a little character here. I just saw this scribble up here that kind of looks like an ear, which will follow down the back, and a tail. So maybe like a bunny or a type of gremlin type of character thing here. And this is how you can kind of come up with ideas for things, just have fun. The other thing this does is that people and artists especially, they get blocked and stuck because they're like, either I have too many ideas or I don't know what I want to draw. Which is why in school or with a lot of these programs, they give you certain things to work on or certain subjects to sketch or paint, because that way you don't have to, you're not thinking too much about, what would, maybe I should try this, or maybe I should try to draw this, or no, this would be great. All of that is taken away from you, and you just kind of release and have fun. The other thing that happens is you might start on something and then say, this wasn't the best idea, I'm going to start over. Whereas if they give you a prompt, or you're going to draw or sketch this picture, this animal, this classical piece, your focus goes on actually having fun and creating it rather than, is this right, or should I be doing this? So this first exercise here just really releases that, and it also helps you to start seeing things, start seeing shapes. Like when you look up in the clouds and clouds look like certain different things. You start seeing shapes or animals. So this is the first exercise that will really help you. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over, and because everybody has their own taste, their own styles, I wanted to share a few different examples of things that you guys can try, and you guys will end up gravitating towards one or a few of these. So that's why I wanted to give a few different ideas. Another idea, I'm just going to block off a little section here, is to kind of draw shapes and just kind of really see where that takes you. Just crazy shapes, and just kind of fit them in almost like a puzzle or like an old Tetris game. And they don't all have to be boxy. You can throw some triangles and some weird shapes in there as well. The cool thing about this one is it kind of just has you fitting in different weird looking areas and shapes and kind of just putting things together. You think about it a little bit, but you don't have to really go crazy. And then you can either start shading in some of these, start coloring, making different colors and transitions, or you can even fill these in with shapes, little circles or little swirlies, or you can start adding in other kinds of little textures into these areas. Now, as I'm doing this and showing you, I'm going a little bit faster than I would, and that's just to kind of, because I have a lot of different ideas to share with you guys. But relax and take your time on this. Fill the page and just actually really relax and enjoy. You know, this can be a little meditative session to kind of really dig into your inner child and that creativity that you may have lost connection with. So you can do things like that. Like I said, there's different kind of textures, or if you want to draw other things within these boxes, that works as well. Another thing with the shapes that people like is kind of drawing overlapping shapes. And again, this is to kind of get you out of your bubble and get you thinking again. Or I wouldn't say thinking, but seeing in a different way. And kind of helps you to stop thinking, maybe. And with these, you can also do the same thing. Color in different shapes with different colors. Really make it your own. Add in, you know, since these are all kind of going together and overlapping, maybe deciding on which one's in front and drawing shadows on the other blocks that are around it, kind of making it a little more three-dimensional for yourself. But doing something like that. Next up is kind of doing just linear lines, or one of the things that I did in college was curvilinear lines, which are really fun and interesting. So basically, what you're going to do is, starting off with a page, is kind of draw like a wiggly line across. And the goal is to stay parallel at certain areas and then kind of jump off to kind of make different shapes. So I'll be parallel here, but since I've got a little bump here, I'm going to kind of jump up a little bit. I'm going to make another one here. We're going to do this. Make it a little bit thicker here. But basically, across the page, you're going to make the lines at a little bit different as far as width. You're going to vary that and kind of create new shapes as you go along. Now this one is one of those that definitely takes a little bit longer. So I'm going to show you one of them that I've done a long time ago. And at the end, you can create something like this, which, you know, as a whole page is actually a pretty interesting piece. But as you can see, it all started with just a simple line across. And as I went off of that line, you know, it's super close in certain areas and a little bit more space in other areas, just kind of creating these folds. So that's something you can do to kind of relax your mind and just get into that creative side. Another option that's similar to that is, instead of doing just curved lines, doing straight lines and varying the shape and the size, you know, and kind of being a little more geometric. So that's another idea, something along the lines of that. And then another one that was similar as well is a piece like this, to where there's a certain shape. I had like a couple blades kind of in here, and I kind of masked that off and did, again, just straight parallel lines. Well, sort of parallel lines, but varying lengths and varying thicknesses. And then after you kind of peel this off, you're left with a certain shape. So another thing that'll help relax you. Now this next one is going into something that is a lot of fun for us, but also extremely fun for kids. So doing either with a colored pencil or crayons, or I'm just going to use the pencil because that's what I have here, but just doing a quick little scribble. And this technique I learned from Diane Alber, who has an amazing book series, and the one that I had was, or that I started with, was I'm Not Just a Scribble. And what she has is her kids started just kind of making these real quick scribbles, and then she has a sticker set in there that has eyes and a mouth that you can kind of play around with and mix up. But basically, you're able to create these fun little characters that everybody is able to make something from. Let me grab a color and see if this shows up. But even with something like this, and I did have the book, however, I gifted it to one of my little buddies. That's why I'm kind of drawing them in. But you can, the stickers are great even if you have like googly eyes at the craft store, or just eye stickers, or if you just want to draw them on like this. The great thing about this is that at a young age, when kids start coloring, they're not exactly coloring inside the lines. Sometimes it's them just not wanting to, other times it's just them still learning how to work the materials and their motor skills. But the amazing thing is that you can create all kinds of really fun little characters. Even just kind of scribbling in circles, making a little circle. And you're making things like this. These are all fun little quick characters, and everybody can do them. You know, the same thing if you want to kind of do little emojis. Which we'll get into when we start doing clay as well, but everybody can create these as well. And so one more that I want to share with you guys, another really cool idea that can get your creative juices flowing, is taking a sheet of paper and literally just kind of crumpling it up. And then as you open it back up, you're going to see these valleys, these creases. And sometimes you might make some really interesting little shapes. And what you can do with this is kind of build things with these shapes. It can be abstract, or you can make characters depending on the shapes that are there. Another thing that I just kind of thought about that kind of relates to this is also, you know, using ripped paper and kind of seeing if any of them kind of can turn into something. So again, almost like a puzzle piece, and you can always edit some, kind of alter or edit some of them if you kind of start to see something. This one I kind of picture almost like a bunny or type of character. This being his body, kind of comes down here, a little bit here for the tail. Maybe do a little, this would be the knee area. And this kind of coming underneath to be the foot. Bunnies don't have tails like that though, they kind of just have a big circle. Now obviously this is kind of a quick little thing, but you can always, kind of have fun with that and actually turning it sideways. Even little, this would almost be like a jack-o'-lantern. And kind of making a little face. So all of these are ways and ideas to kind of get those creative juices flowing, and just to kind of help you to release and get started. Because getting started is always the hardest part. Everybody always says, I'm not creative, I don't believe I'm creative, I don't know how to draw a stick figure, things like that. And this is just going to help you to kind of relax and find your flow and find your freedom in this. And so all of those are just different exercises, different ideas. So go ahead, get started with one or two and kind of try them out. And I'm not telling you that you have to stick to any specific thing, but I want you guys to try these out and find which ones actually work for you and get you excited and get you kind of feeling like a kid again and help you to kind of relax and de-stress. And then if the other ones don't really connect with you or you're not really interested, that's okay. Just find a couple of them that you really start connecting to.